I'm Karen C. Spear-Elmwood, Education Specialist and PhD candidate at the University of Arizona, College of Education Department of Teaching, Learning, and Sociocultural Studies. This is a presentation for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and PBS, growing 21st century knowledge professionals through Zonebee. The Zonebee team attempted to address the problem of exponential growth of knowledge and the knowledge gap created by new technologies. The half-life of tech-based degrees, that is, the half-life of the knowledge that it takes to master ICT literacy and the development of technologies, is about 5 years. Between 1999 and 2002, new stored information doubled in 5 years. And by 2020, we expect that new stored information will double every 73 days. In other words, with the creation of these new technologies that create increased access to an untold number of documents, untold amount of information, has so increased that our human ability to absorb and learn that information, and even quite frankly to efficiently and effectively access it, cannot keep up with it. This gap between our ability to keep up with the information that has become and will continue to become accessible to us is called the knowledge gap. The goal in mind was to close the knowledge gap as much as possible. If we look at what Google has done in the last decade, it's actually increased the knowledge gap by making all the information possible accessible to us. They've got books online, they archive web pages, and so on. Facebook has a different approach. Rather than making all information accessible to us, they narrow our access to information by linking information to our family and friends. But this may not be all that you're interested in. So it may not be the best approach to closing this knowledge gap. Zonebee's approach is to close the knowledge gap by considering you and who you are, your context and your skills, and aligning a set of tools with the process of self-directed learning and what is called the organizing circumstance of learning. The Zonebee learning model is based on the organizing circumstance of self-directed or self-managed learning and considers that every learning situation places a set of demands on the teacher and learner, which make the goal that they're trying to reach either more proximal, closer to reach, or more distal, harder to reach. There's basically 4 aspects to the organizing circumstance of learning that we focus on at Zonebee. And the first is the set of learning demands. The second aspect of the organizing circumstance of learning are the conditions for learning. That is, the conditions that make it more or less difficult to reach the learning goal. One great example of the conditions for learning are the affordances or constraints in a particular learning environment. That is, the tools accessible to the learner. The third aspect of the organizing circumstance of learning refers to the theory of funds of knowledge. Learning is situated in a social, cultural, and historical context at all times. That is, learners and teachers bring with them certain funds of knowledge, expertise, or practices that they can apply to a new situation. Those funds of knowledge operate to strategically guide the learner in whatever context they find themselves in. The fourth aspect of the organizing circumstance of learning is the purpose for learning. It could be formal or informal education, or learning for fun. These 4 aspects of the organizing circumstance of learning are a way to consider a learning situation, its context, the purpose for learning, the tools available to the user, and the learning demands. This theory behind Zonebee is the reason why the toolbar has not only a box to enter keywords, but on the right-hand side, as you'll see in a moment, a box to enter your learning goal, so you can keep your eye on that target at all times. What is Zonebee? Well, we could refer to Zonebee simply as a toolbar, because quite frankly, it looks like a toolbar, as you can see here. But the learning goal is on the right, to keep your eye on the ball, and the keywords are on the left. What it really does is, with each of these functions, whether it be explore, search, focus, or experience, or build, each of these functions has a set of applications that pertains to a different part of the component processes of self-directed or self-managed learning. When Zonebee creates a learning and knowledge management environment within your web browser, it operates on information out on the open web, corporate intranets, or proprietary content services. The idea is to guide you and personalize your experience and organize and help you share what you learn. In terms of particular resources on the web, such as those that can be found at pbs.org, Zonebee can essentially become an instrument that can power the ability of knowledge professionals to access information more efficiently and more effectively. So that Zonebee is made both for knowledge professionals like teachers or lawyers who always engage in informal and self-directed learning as part of their professional development, as well as K-20 students who are learning to become tomorrow's knowledge professionals. Zonebee is, in fact, this informal learning and knowledge management environment that guides, personalizes, organizes, and shares knowledge as it's being constructed. It's also aligned with this theory of self-directed or self-managed learning and the component processes. Effective self-directed learners, Zonebee is supposed to provide the strategic guidance necessary for that self-directed learning process to be more efficient and effective. Assess involves assessing the learning demands and identifying a learning goal of any given situation, and to self-assess one's abilities, skills, and knowledge to meet those demands. Plan means that the learner must plan how to approach the learning goal and to reflect on past approaches to similar learning goals. Implement means that the learner must implement that plan for reaching the learning goal, and then monitor resources and learning progress, as well as self-monitor whether and how they're reaching the learning goal or if the plan needs adjusting. When it comes time to doing something with what she or he has learned, the student will produce or otherwise share what's been learned, maybe a report or presentation, and they can do this using Zonebee individually or in collaboration with peers. Lastly, the learner will evaluate the learning outcome and evaluate oneself as to whether the approach taken was really the most efficient or effective,